Hello boys and girls, this is Jeet Chakraborty from the Department of Chemistry, and today we will see the lecture for stereochemistry. So before going into the lecture, there is a brief explanation that I'll be giving you because this is entirely a new topic for you. Actually the name is new, but the topic is not that much new. Yes, it is a type of new topic, but it is not that much new topic. Whenever we'll move into the discussion, you will see that there are many things that you have come across your classes of 11 and 12, right? So basically, if we move from the start, what is the meaning of the word stereochemistry? So stereo means a particular arrangement, and definitely if that arrangement is for the molecules, for the chemical molecules, then that part is called stereochemistry, right? Now in this stereochemistry part, there are many things, among which some are present in the BTech syllabus of the ongoing semester, right? Now this is basically the 17th lecture of the course chemistry CH 101, right? And here you are going to see that what things are present inside the stereochemistry syllabus. So now with this lecture number 71, we are moving inside the module of organic chemistry. Now whenever organic chemistry the word comes into our mind, we come across different types of chemical reactions, big benzenes and multiple clusters of atoms and blah blah blah. So lots of difficult thing comes into the mind whenever we are looking into the organic chemistry part. But organic chemistry thing is not that much difficult what we see, right? It is not that much difficult. Yes, there are things which are needful to be practiced, right, which requires practice, huge practice, otherwise you may forget them. But yes, it is not that much difficult. Actually we make the things difficult. Things are not that much difficult. So here our main motto for organic chemistry will be to make the things easier and easier, so that with very easy dimensions we can understand that what the meaning of the words are, right? So let us move into the thing now. This is the first lecture for the stereochemistry. This is the part 1 stereochemistry lecture, and our first topic will be representation of three-dimensional structures, right? Now question arises, what is three-dimensional structure? Whenever, see, 1D, 2D and 3D. 1D means only length will be there, 2D means length and breadth will be there, 3D means whatever we people are seeing, we ourselves are 3D, right? Length, breadth and height, all the three things are present, so it is 3D, right? Now molecules are definitely 3D because we are made up of molecules. Now whenever we are saying that the molecules are 3D, we must know how to represent these molecules in terms of 3D, right? And this representation will result in specific structures or specific projections. Okay, so here in this lecture we are going to see how a molecule is explained using three-dimensional structures, right? And into this movement there are multiple things that we will see. There are basically 4 things that we are going to come across, right? There are 4 types of projections, okay, which are used to represent the 3D structure of molecules. The first one will be the Fischer projection, second one will be Newman projection, third one will be Schauer's projection, and the fourth one will be flying wedge projection, right? So we'll start from the Fischer projection. Now Fischer projection is basically conversion of a 3D structure to the 2D structure, right? Here what happens basically, it is called the bond line formula, where we just make a vertical line, okay, and horizontal lines. Every intersection point of this vertical line and horizontal line denotes a carbon, right? Every point of intersection will denote a carbon, and across that carbon we will write different type of things, right? Now you people can see in the screen that 2,3 dibromobutane, this particular structure is explained here in this particular screen, and you can see there may be different type of arrangements, okay? See, here the mirror images are given of the particular structure. You can see that there are two basic stereocenters, right? There is a second carbon and the third carbon, 2, 3. Now these particular carbons are chiral. Now what is chiral and what is chirality we will see in the next lecture. We will not discuss it here, but here just try to understand that these 2 and 3, these two carbons are particular chiral. Okay, now using this chiral center there can be two type of structures. One is cis and another is trans. Again, here we will not see about cis and trans. We will discuss about cis and trans in the third lecture of stereochemistry, that is stereochemistry part 3. So here we will just see how and what Fischer projection is and how Fischer projection can be used to denote the structure of a compound. Okay, so basically it is a representation in which the vertical and horizontal lines will show the bonds, and this way we are representing the Fischer projection. Next we are having Newman projection. Now what is Newman projection? The same molecule that is explained in the Fischer projection can be explained in the Newman projection also, right? Now how it will be explained in Newman projection? See, basically what we will do, first of all, the carbon will be taken, the front carbon and the back carbon will be taken. Now this again, if we go for the same structure, here we are using butanol. So same structure is there with the OH, right? As you can see in your screen, same structure with OH. Now what we are going to see, if we are aligning the carbon in such a way that we can see the front and back structure, just follow the screen, then you will see that the circle, actually this circle is the surrounding of the carbon. The red mark, the red dot is actually the front carbon and another is the back carbon. This representation will be a 360-degree representation where we will see the different atoms will be arranged along the circle of this particular molecule, right? Now two types of projections, two types of structures are available in this projection. What is called staggered form, another is called eclipse form. Eclipse form is that when every bond at the front carbon will just be as same in the same location, in the same place to the back carbon also, right? If that is happening, then it is called eclipse form. And here whatever we people are seeing on the screen, it is called staggered form. Each and every angle in this staggered form will be at a distance of 60 degree with each other, right? So total is 60 into 6, that is 360 degree. Now as you can see, Newman projection is useful in alkane stereochemistry. It is basically used to explain the structure of alkane. Okay, it visualizes the conformation of a chemical bond from front to back. Whatever we people have been discussing, that is what is written here. And the back carbon and the front carbon are represented by dots. The front carbon is called proximal, which we can see as the red dot. The back carbon we are unable to see here, but we are assuming that it is at the back and it is called the distal, right? And the specific dihedral angle between these atoms, which we have told 60 degree, is the main dihedral angle, right? That is between the proximal and the distal atoms. Okay, so this was all about the Newman projection. Next we are moving into Shawhurst projection. Now Newman projection and Shawhurst projection, these two are actually relatives of each other, we can say. These actually can be related, right? How they can be related? See, in Newman projection we are seeing the carbon from the front, right? Just you are seeing, and just at the tip of your nose the molecule is lying, okay? But in Shawhurst projection we are seeing from bottom to top, okay? The total structure is tilted in such a way that we are seeing the bottom side and the top side. So if we compare the last picture showing the Newman projection and this picture showing the Shawhurst projection, you will see that yes, proximal and distal carbons are present here also as well, right? So basically the front red which we have seen there also, that is the proximal carbon, and the back dot, that is a green dot, the back side dot, it is called the distal carbon, right? So basically you can see that both of the structures are same, just your viewpoint is different. In the Newman projection you are seeing from the front side, and here you are seeing from the lower end, right? Now Shawhurst projections are very much similar to Newman projection, as is already written here, because the carbon-carbon bond is compressed in Shawhurst projection, but it is fully drawn out in Newman projection, right? When the property is laid out, Shor's projection are useful for determining enantiomeric and diastereomeric relationships. Now, question arises, what is enantiomer, what is diastereomer? Again, we'll not explain it here. We'll explain in the last lecture of stereochemistry. That is the part 4 of the stereochemistry lecture. Okay, right. So this was all about the Shor's projection. Now, as you people can see, the Shor's and Newman, these two are just very much similar to each other. And again, I am saying that proximal and distal carbons are present in both of the projections, but in Shor's it is fully drawn and is noticeable, and in Newman it is not that much noticeable. Okay, so these were the 3 different type of projections that we people have come across, right? Now next comes the very important, the most important rather, projection, that is the flying wedge projection. Okay, now whenever we are moving into flying wedge projection, why I am saying this is the most important, 2 times I have said most. Why? Because this is that particular projection which will be used in each and every chemical reaction. Okay, whenever we'll move toward the reactions, we people will see that we have substitution reactions, elimination reactions, addition reactions. Okay, now substitution, elimination, addition, whatever the reaction may be, reaction always occurs with bond breaking and bond making, right? Bond breaking and bond making are the main aspects of a chemical reaction. Now this bond making and bond breaking will happen only if the bonds are present in a particular plane, right? If they are in a different plane, if the bond that is being broken in the X plane and the bond that is going to be formed is in the Y plane, the reaction will not happen. Okay, the basic primary condition for a reaction to occur is that the bonds should be in the same plane, right? Now this type of structure actually is very beneficial to us, because using this type of structure only we are going to see that if the bond which is in discussion, which is in study, is actually on the plane, or it is above the plane, or it is below the plane. Now if the reaction occurs above the plane, all will be above. When a bond broken will be also above, on the bond which is getting prepared, that will also be above. If that is below the plane, then everything will be below the plane, and if that is on the plane, then everything will be on the plane. In general, the bond breaking and bond making occurs with the bonds which are on the plane. So above and below reactions basically does not occur. Okay, now what is this flying wedge projection that we are trying to see here? So the wedge and dash projection is a drawing, right? That means they are used to represent the molecule in 3D. Okay, now how they are represented? Basically there are 3 aspects, right? The solid lines are represented that are assumed to be in the plane of paper, that is on the plane we are saying that. Okay, the dashed lines are considered to be below the plane, that is away from the viewer. Okay, the dashed one, that is below the plane we say, and the wedged lines represent bonds which are oriented towards the viewer, or we can say that is above the plane, right? So whenever we are seeing the molecule, the wedged line we will see first, followed by the dashed line, right? And this in between this two there will be the normal solid line that is on the plane. Now what is the importance of this flying wedge projection, that we people will discuss. Let us try to imagine what is elimination reaction and how it occurs. Okay, now as you can see in these two structures, 1 2 3 4 5 6 is written. Can you imagine this 1 2 3 4 5 6 is nothing but the number of carbon centers. Okay, now it may be a chiral center, may not be a chiral center, but this above below representation can be done. Okay, now why I am saying elimination reaction? Because in elimination reaction what happens in E2 reactions, basically the backside attack occurs, and from the front side this leaving group will leave, and from the backside this particular nucleophile will come and join, right? Now question arises how this reaction happens. Okay, now in order to understand the happening of this reaction, we have to have a clear idea about the flying wedge projection. Okay, now if I have already told you that the bond breaking and bond making always occurs on the same plane, right? Now if the bond breaking, that is the leaving group is leaving, if that bond is on the plane and this particular thing, the nucleophile is getting attached, so that bond is also on the plane, then only what will happen, the reaction will occur. Otherwise, if the attack is occurring from above the plane and the nucleophilic attack is occurring above the plane and the leaving group is going below the plane from the dashed line, this will never happen. Okay, so flying wedge projection is very, very important for us, and without proper data of the flying wedge projection, we will never understand that how any particular reaction happens, right? So these were about the different aspects of the 3D representations that are present in our syllabus, and basically here the Shor's, Newman, Fisher and flying wedge projection have been discussed. Now Fisher projection is very much known to you because you have studied the chapter 14 biomolecules in class 12, where the structures of glucose and fructose and all these were explained beautifully using Fisher projection only, right? So Fisher projection finds wide application in the field of biomolecules, right? Whereas Newman and Shor's have general applications in each and every field, and in the reaction mechanism part, flying wedge projection have a wide application, right? So this was all about the representation of 3D structures. Now in the forthcoming lectures, what we are going to see, we'll just have a little glimpse about that. The first and foremost lecture was this one. In the second lecture, we'll see two phenomena. One is chirality, another is optical activity. Now you might be thinking that there are chiral carbons present here. We have discussed about what is chirality. Basically, chirality means different type of bonds will be present, or different type of atoms will be attached to a single carbon atom. If different type of atoms are attached to a single carbon atom, then the carbon is called chiral carbon or the chiral center, right? If two same type of atoms are attached, then it is called prochiral, just like the step before chirality, okay, right? And if more than two same type of atoms are present, then it is called achiral, okay. Now this is about chirality. Now chirality will see and will explain briefly in the next lecture that we people will be having. And after this, we people are having this particular thing, that is optical activity will be having. So optical activity means how your molecule is just behaving in presence of light. So that is basically understood using a polarimeter. Now what is polarimeter, how it works, we'll see briefly in the next lecture, that is lecture number 18 and part 2 stereochemistry, right? Now in part 3 we are having some more important thing that is called isomerism, which is very, very important for us, okay. And what are the types of isomerism, that also we'll discuss here. And in part 4 there is a final part of the stereochemistry. There we'll be seeing what different types of enantiomers and diastereomers are there, and what is the difference between these enantiomers and diastereomers, how to deal with them, and how we can complete them up, right? So these are the things that we will be seeing in the upcoming different lectures. Now after this there is another organic module, that is the chemical reactions module, which is also very, very important for us, because all different type of stereochemical application, basically what we will see, what we'll understand here, the application of these things are present in the next module, that is the not next module, in the next cluster, the next chapter, that is called chemical reactions, and there we will see what different type of electronic effects are, and what different type of elimination, substitution, addition, oxidation and reductions are there, okay. So these are the different things that we people will be seeing in the forthcoming lectures. I have already discussed with you, right? So there should be no fear about organic chemistry, because yes, it may happen that you have some absurd memories, not so pleasant memories about organic chemistry from your past life, your past classes, but here your memories and your experience will change, okay. So with that observation and with that understanding, let us conclude today's lecture. We will see each other in the next lecture, right? And if you face any problem, any difficulty, you are most welcome to share with me. Just ring me up or just message me, drop a mail to me that this is my problem, and we'll come across and we'll discuss and we'll form some answers and some solutions we will find out, okay, regarding your problem. So till then, till the next lecture of stereochemistry part 2, thank you so much. Stay safe, stay healthy.